Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe Archino here. And look, it wasn't just Warrior Spurs dominating the headlines for the NBA last night. The Sacramento Kings and then the Hornets going into quite a thriller in double overtime. The Hornets pulling it out 129 to 128. But that clearly wasn't the storyline. The storyline was, of course, DeMarcus Cousins with his 56-point, 12-rebound performance. That was the most points in the NBA this season. And, it's kind of interesting because Stephen Curry has obviously been the player that has taken the league by storm to another level, building off of his MVP season last year. He, again, is the MVP this season. And right at this point, there's really nobody in his way. He will win away. He will run away with that award this season. But DeMarcus Cousins is a outstanding basketball player. I really think we have seen, and it's been coming, and this is the NBA now. Big men don't impact the way that they used to. The game is played away from the basket more now than it ever has been. That's why I think in the draft, I said all along, you don't draft a Julia Okafor, you draft a Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns is the new breed version of what the big man has to be in the NBA today. The big man in the NBA today has to have a game away from the basket. Dwight Howard has no game away from the basket. A lot of these traditional centers don't impact the game away from the basket, and the game is played away from the basket today more than ever before. That's why a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, who has been lighting it up his rookie season, is what the NBA needs today. That's the model of a big man. He has to be able to stretch the floor. He has to be able to hit shots. And for most intents and purposes, I think the best in the game do that. DeMarcus Cousins doesn't have the range of a guy like a LaMarcus Aldridge or a Karl Anthony Towns, but he makes up for that with his incredible ability to dominate his side of the court. And obviously, with a 56-point performance, that is just a testament to how special this guy is. But more than that, he's the fourth player since the merger to have 100 points and 25 rebounds over a two-game span in a single season. His last game and then this one combined, he has now scored 100 points, which again, it really just boggles the mind how incredible this has been. And the Kings are one of those teams, 20 and 24 in a Western Conference that's not as good as it was the last two seasons. And they're kind of one of those teams that really, they blur that line between being mediocre and then being average. What it does say, though, is exactly my point. Big men don't dominate the game the way that they used to. DeMarcus Cousins put together a 56-point game performance, and they lose this game. Now, they don't lose it because of him entirely, but I think when you rely and you run your offense really through a big man, that's not how you win. I mean, you look at what the Golden State Warriors did last year, winning that title against the Cavs. The Cavs control the boards. The Cavs were the more physical team with Timothy Mozgov and Tristan Thompson. They control the boards in that series, but Golden State had good enough big men. You don't need, you could get away with an Andrew Bogut. I mean, we look at the Clippers with a DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan has no offensive game, but he's a tremendous rebounder, and that's all you need. You don't need to make a big man the centerpiece of your offense. It's why the Houston Rockets were never going to win a title with this current roster. Dwight Howard cannot play that big of a role and be that important of a piece for you to win a title. He has no game whatsoever away from the basket. All he does is grab easy points, easy boards. There's nothing to his game that is challenging, and there's nothing to his game that presents difficulties to stop from a defensive standpoint. Dwight Howard is the same player today as he was when he came into the NBA. But DeMarcus Cousins is quite the opposite. DeMarcus Cousins has put in a tremendous amount of work, and I know there was a lot of reports coming out of college. A lot of people were worried. And I mean, I forget the writer's name, but there was a writer who said, give it 5 years, he will be in jail in 5 years into the NBA. But that has clearly not happened. He's had his troubles with his mentality on the court early in his career when he was more young. He had a lot of problems with technical fouls. His anger really always got the best of him. But to his credit, as he has aged out, he certainly has become more of a composed player. Now, the anger and some of those issues are still there in spurts, but I think for the most part, we see a much more composed DeMarcus Cousins. And like I said with these numbers right here, the numbers he has put together are a testament to how special of a player he is. I mean, if you have to name your all NBA team tomorrow, I don't think there's any question that if you need a center, he's the best in the league. I thought Al Jefferson was the best in the league a couple years ago, and continued to build. But I think right now there's no disputing. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins is as good as it gets. Andre Drummond not too far behind. But man, I mean, there's not another center who I think has doesn't have the ability to stretch the floor and can put up that many points that easily like a DeMarcus Cousins. And Rondo has been a guy who I think has also had. I mean, it's an interesting way the Kings have put together their team because a lot of the players they've put together have certainly had their troubles and clashes with coaches before, like Rondo, like Cousins. But it seems like for somehow Carl, who there was even tension with Cousins with, has somehow figured to work it out. Now again, they're a 20-24 basketball team, so they're not great. They're really an average team at best. But still, they have talent. Will they ever be able to put it together? I don't think so. I think, this is an organization that has struggled to really get their act together at times. And again, I think it's very telling that he has scored 56 points in a game like this, and you still lose it in double overtime. Again, it says it all about how the NBA is played today. If Stephen Curry scores 56 points, the Warriors are probably winning that game by 30. It's just the way the style teams play. Big men don't impact the game the way that they used to, but DeMarcus Cousins is an outstanding basketball player. It really is a shame that this kind of got overshadowed by that Spurs-Warriors game, which really wasn't much of a game, to be honest. I mean, the Warriors really reasserting their dominance once again, like they have done all season. I know Tim Duncan wasn't playing, but I mean, I don't know how you realistically watch that basketball game and say the Golden State Warriors are not just a cut above the rest in every single way. They're the best team in the league, and they just do it their way, and it's very difficult to stop. But until the next time, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino, on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll be back next time.